There's been a lot of back and forth about how different parts of Silicon Valley align with the presidential candidates. Elon Musk has been vocal in support of Donald Trump, and Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz also rallied to Trump. There are others like you who are vocal in support of the Democratic Party. How divisive have things become in Silicon Valley? I mean, it is a small place. The impact of it is big, but it's not a big place.
Well, I mean, Silicon Valley has rarely been unified to one candidate, in part because relatively few candidates are as strongly technology building the future. Generally speaking, there is always actually some debate within it. Now, this debate, I think, is a little strange because if you consider Trump, one, classically Republicans are the party of business. And so they argue it's business thing. Well, here's a business person who's arguing tariffs, which are like, anti-business. So it's kind of strange. Donald Trump himself is perhaps one of the very few human beings on the planet who can lose money running a casino. And then you go, well, maybe J.D. Vance. Well, but when J.D. Vance says, hey, of all the people that Biden's appointed, he's like, most of them are bad, but the one who's really good is Lena Khan. Now, she is the representative of the kind of thing that I would be doing. So it's a little bit of a strange dialogue.
Because the regulatory environment and things like, that's part of what has made some business leaders skeptical about Biden and about the Democrats.
People say, well, are you just, so resolutely anti-Trump? It's like, well, actually, in fact, I thought one of the things that he did well in his presidency is like, if you want a new regulation, remove an old one. It's a generally good, kind of refactoring and don't allow cruft. I mean, I think that the regulatory stuff is good. Now, that being said, what I think people don't realize is that stability, unity, and rule of law is the most important thing for business. It isn't a question of like corporate taxes going up or down by a percentage or an additional regulation or two. Those are important things for business. But the thing that's actually, in fact, most important is a notion of, do you want a stable society? It's what you can invest in. It's what you can hire people in. It's what you can do, all these kinds of things. And that's why, I think Joe Biden has been a great president. And I think Kamala Harris can be a great president because for business, as well as general, because of that specific attribute. We can go into details and say, well, but they're going to add these 3 regulations. And you say, well, those regulations would be probably less good for business. Sometimes, by the way, good, thoughtful business people realize that some regulation is very good. It creates a stable environment. It creates a good transactional thing. It's like, for example, having regulation about food and drug. You may disagree with the intensity of it in some ways, and you may want to say we want to have drugs approved more quickly, both of which I think are very good points and important. But you might say, look, the baseline is good for the overall transactional velocity and stability of society.